The Toyota RAV4 is a big deal. It's one of the best-selling cars in the world, and it's also helping lead Toyota into its hybrid-focused future. There's a lot riding on this car's shoulders, or its fenders. This is the 2024 RAV4 Prime, and I'm Alanis King. Today, I want to walk you through 5 things I love about this vehicle and 1 thing I don't love so much. And since it's a plug-in hybrid, I figured it would be fun to run this car's electric-only range to empty and see what happens. So stick around. Speaking of not running on empty, we have a new partner for the channel. Apex Coffee Roasters. Apex looks really cool, tastes good, and how cool would it be to have your friends see that your coffee comes in Gulf colors? I absolutely love Apex and think it's so cool that we have such a good-looking partner on the channel. And if you want to try out the coffee for yourself, we're going to put a promo code on the screen for you to get a discount on your order. Before we get to my 5 things, let's talk about what the RAV4 is and where it falls in the current car market. The RAV4 has been around since the mid-90s, and it was such a cute little guy back then. When the RAV4 debuted, people were more about body-on-frame SUVs, vehicles that really put the U in utility. But these were more like trucks, and they lacked the comfort and fuel economy that people got from cars. The RAV4 was a unibody SUV, mixing the size of an SUV with the feel of a car. And back then, this was a really big change, but these days, it's literally all people want. The second generation of the RAV4 came in 2001, the third gen in 2006, and the fourth gen in 2013. This car, the 5th gen, arrived in 2019. Over the years, the RAV4 got more and more popular. It's now regularly one of the best-selling vehicles in the world. And in America alone, in 2023, Toyota sold nearly 435,000 RAV4s. Imagine 435,000 people in one country buying one vehicle. The only vehicles that beat out the RAV4 in the rankings in America last year were the Chevy Silverado, Ram pickup, and Ford F-Series. The Prime is an upscale plug-in hybrid version of the RAV4, and it has a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder engine, which makes 302 net horsepower. That power goes through a continuously variable transmission to electric on-demand all-wheel drive. You access the gas tank on the driver's side of the car and the plug on the passenger side. And when you want some electricity, you get a standard 120-volt charger for your house. You can charge the car through that plug or through a process called regenerative braking, which is what happens when the car decelerates. So the car will take that kinetic energy that it is stopping and send it back to the battery to add a little bit of charge. That's why if you look at the fuel economy or the electricity numbers for plug-in hybrids or electric vehicles, you'll usually find that they do better in the city than they do on the highway, because there's more time to slow down in the city, thus more time for regenerative braking and more time to charge the battery. This car also comes with Toyota's safety suite and driver assistance features, as well as a 10.5-inch infotainment screen that's compatible with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. One last thing before we get to my 5 things I really love about this car and 1 thing I don't, is my favorite test. How many Atlantises can fit in the trunk of the Toyota RAV4 Prime? Quite a few, I think. This is roomy back here. Oh, luxury right now. Check this out. Come on down. Yee! Oh my goodness. You could do a solid 2.5 Atlantises back here if we were contortionists. It's impressive. Wow. Okay. So what did we learn about Toyotas today? We learned that a lot of people drive them, now including Jimmy Johnson. If you want this shirt from Jimmy's 7 NASCAR championships, you can get it 15% off at Home Field Apparel with code ALANIS24. Now that we know all about the RAV4, let's talk about the 5 things I love about this car. The first one is the exterior looks. The amount of people who see this red and go, wow, that looks really, really good, is through the roof, me included. This car looks so sharp and so good. This paint color is called Supersonic Red. It's a $425 option. And I think what this car does really well is that it looks sporty without going over the top with it, right? It doesn't look false or goofy. You have the roof racks here. You have this cladding that's black, but it's not big and really dull looking and just kind of looks like you're trying to survive the zombie apocalypse, which I don't love that. I love that it's gloss. The headlights are nice and pointy, and it's aggressive without being too over the top. This exterior looks really, really nice and has aged well, and I like driving it. The next thing I absolutely love about this RAV4 Prime plug-in hybrid is that it's a plug-in hybrid. And I know maybe you're thinking, oh, hybrids, that's boring. It's not, because I think hybrids solve the exact problem with the car landscape in America today, which is that we have great, capable, performance-oriented electric vehicles, but our infrastructure is not fully there yet. This car has a 42-mile electric-only range, and we have the trickle charger in right now. It's 120 volts. It's been charging all night at our house, so it's at 100%. And we thought it would be fun to take this out in EV-only mode and see exactly how far it gets. So we have a 42-mile electric range. How far are we gonna go? Now, there's a caveat here, which is that we're going on a road trip because we are Americans. So when we're out on the highway, we're not going to be able to feed a lot of electricity back to the battery, which you often do under braking and things like that. So we're probably gonna deplete this EV-only range faster on the highway, but we're gonna try it anyway and see how far we get. We just got in the car, EV-only mode, and my driver instrument cluster tells us we have 35 miles of range. So that's lower than the 42 advertised, but it is fully charged. So we're gonna see how far we get. The odometer is at 2234 miles. So if we go all the way in EV mode, that would be 2269, right? 2269. We're gonna see how far we get. Before we started driving, I mentioned one caveat of our little experiment, which is that we're not driving around the city. We don't have these slower zones, these braking areas where we can give the battery a little bit of a break. We're just going straight through. So whatever our EV range is, it'll probably be less on the highway before the gas engine kicks in, because there's no real break for the car out here. I'm really interested to see how far it goes. Another caveat that I did not mention before we got in the car was the fact that it's hot outside. So as you can see, my hair is kind of blowing in the wind right now. That's because we have the air conditioning on. That will also pull from the battery, take away from our range. So we have a few things working against us, and we'll see how it goes. You'll remember that earlier I said this car has 42 miles of EV-only range in perfect conditions. And you might go, well, how does that compare to what I do every day? Well, the average American drives 42 miles a day. Exactly. And I think this is where hybrids are so useful, because most of the time, people are just driving to work and driving back and doing little errands and stuff like that. They're doing their average daily commute, not road trips. And if your average daily commute can be 42 miles and you have 42 miles of EV-only range, you can do your daily tasks while barely using any gas at all. Then you get home at the end of the day, plug the car in, and do it all again tomorrow. So you have the around town benefits of an EV while also being able to go on road trips like we're on right now and stop wherever you want for gas. This is the perfect stair step between gas-only vehicles and electric-only vehicles. So to have a hybrid as a stair step in between and get used to the benefits of EV-only mode is a great thing for a lot of people. And hey, we're holding steady right now. We have 23 miles of EV-only range left, and our odometer is at 2246. So we are still projecting to end at 2269, just like it said at the beginning of this experiment. We are now down to 2 miles of EV range, and our odometer is at 2268. So if we go these entire 2 miles, that would land us at 2270, which is 36 miles of electric range. Now, that is less than the advertised electric range, which is 42 miles, but it's more than what the car told us it would get at the beginning of this drive. At the beginning of this drive, the car said you have 35 miles of electric range. So if we get 36, it's at 2269 and we have 1 mile left. Okay, we have 1 mile left and we don't know when it's gonna switch over. We don't know if it's gonna go all the way to 0 and then switch. And we also don't know how it's going to switch over. Is it going to be a very smooth transition? Are the gauges gonna change a little bit? How is the sound gonna change? Because electric vehicles are completely quiet, whereas gas engines make noise. What's it gonna do? Are we gonna feel like a little bit of a lurch when we switch over? Are we gonna get any kind of warning? I don't really know, but I'm kind of getting nervous because I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm kind of excited. So we're at 2269, 1 mile of range. If we make it to 2270, we made it 1 extra mile. And now I'm just gonna sit here and do some breathing exercises and look up and down constantly to see when we switch over. Okay, it hit 0. 2270 and 0, but it still says EV mode. I'm listening for the gas engine. It still says EV mode. So maybe maybe this is like a Formula 1 race or like certain kinds of races. You hit the number, you hit the lap or you hit the mile, and then it still goes 1 more mile after that. Maybe we hit the 0 mile marker, but that just means we're under 1. I don't know. We're still in EV mode. It still says EV mode on there. I'm getting nervous. I'm just staring at it. It's gonna cut off here in like the next 30 seconds. Okay, it's blinking. It switched to HV mode. Hybrid vehicle. It says 0 miles. I can't really tell if the engine is on, because if it is, it's really quiet. But I do know a test that'll tell us. It's on! So we don't know exactly when the switch happened because the engine is so quiet, but I think it happened around 2270 or 2271, which means we went 36 to 37 miles EV only, which I think is pretty great because you know what? The economy's bad, gas costs a lot of money, and we just went almost 40 miles without paying anything for gas. And that's a win. The third thing I love about this RAV4 Prime is that there is actually quite a lot of room in the back seat. I'm about 5'8½", and when you look at my legs, wow, this is probably, 6 to 7 inches of room right here. And then look at how much headroom I also have. It's really impressive back here. Not only do I have a lot of room, I have this giant glass roof that makes it feel airier in here anyway. And I also feel like this back seat is just very versatile because we have the very, very large rear storage area. And then if you want to put these seats down and get even more room, you can do a lot back here and take a lot of stuff places. Thing number 4 is that this engine is so quiet and this car is peaceful to drive on long road trips. As you saw when we did our little electric only range test, we couldn't tell if the engine came on or not because it was so silent. And for a lot of people, that's exactly what they want out of a car like this. And when you're driving down the road, as long as you're on decent patches of road and highway, it's very quiet in here. If you get on a really rough patch of road, you can hear it. But other than that, this car rides really nicely. The fifth thing I absolutely love about this RAV4 Prime is the little interior accents. We're gonna start with the first one, which is the red stitching, which really backs up my opinion that all Toyota interiors just need a little bit of red stitching, because when they're plain black, they're pretty boring. You add that contrast stitching, especially when it matches the interior, and it looks so good. The next thing that I really like is the fact that on our driver instrument cluster, we can see when we're driving economically, when we're using the power, and when we're charging. So when you have that deceleration, that regenerative braking, you can see that you're charging the car. And in an economy like this, it's really nice to know that your car is charging. The next thing I really like is these rubberized knobs. When you turn them, they feel like you have grip on them, you don't slide on them, and they feel kind of sporty and rugged, kind of like the exterior. Then, if you're a Toyota family and you really want your Toyotas to match, this knob actually matches the one that is in the Toyota GR Corolla. That is an incredible car, and we will link our full review on the screen. And the last little interior accent I really like is the phone shelf. Look at this. What a good use of space right here. And you also have the little rubber bits to keep things in place. It's just a really nice use of that space. Now it's time for the one thing I don't love so much about the RAV4 Prime, and that is that although this car feels decently built for tall people in the front seat and the back seat, the seats aren't. We were on a road trip, 4 hours one way, 4 hours back, and these seats got so uncomfortable at about the hour and a half mark. I started feeling the pain in my back right here, and I don't know if it's just a height thing or if this car is more suited for shorter people. I don't know if it's a seat thing, but I tried to adjust the lumbar and do everything like that, and nothing really helped. And it was unfortunate that a car that is so good at a lot of other things was not super comfortable for me on a long road trip. Thank you all so much for watching 5 things I love and 1 thing I don't love so much about this 2024 Toyota RAV4 Prime. It's because of y'all that we are able to have such good partners like Homefield and Apex, and it's because of you that we can do something we love, which is drive cars and talk about them. I cannot wait to see you next time, and in the meantime, I'll talk to you in the comments. Bye!